Well, she's a singer, she's a dancer, actress, producer, and a director. She began her career on television in an episode of Dobie Gillis. She was on Broadway at age 19 in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And then she went on to do the film as well. She co-starred with Dean Jones in the motion picture The Love Bug. But on television, she appeared in about all the popular shows. But the standout role, of course, was that of Karen Cooper Fairgate Mackenzie in Knots Landing, a role that lasted 14 years. In fact, she was the only performer to appear in all 344 episodes. Since then, she's been seen and heard in many made-for-television movies, and I gotta tell you, the disc jockey in me would also have to ask if L. David Sloan ever left her alone. Michelle Lee.
Thank you. L. David Sloan. Remember it? Bullshit. Hi, everybody. Oh, my goodness. I'm much better looking than this in person. If you look at the monitor, I look better than I look now. Anyway, oh gosh. We are so, this is amazing. I am so honored to be here today, as everyone is, to celebrate the life of this individual who is loved really by everyone in this room. And today, I've seen so many people. I look around, I see so many people who I've known. Cappy, oh baby, and my friends and my extended family, CBS, and people in our business, as well as so many people from other walks of life. And I know that our honoree can feel our admiration today. Looked upon as a leader, a producer extraordinaire, and a magnet to others in the arts. Let us lift our glasses high and toast my very good friend, Ava Fries. That's why I said yes. That's what my assistant told me. Shit. Chuck. Chuck Fries. Oh, God. Oh, God, what can I say about this man? C-H-U-C-K. C. You're a cutie. H. Heavy. Hitter. And H. Hollywood Walk of Stars. He is, and I heard it today too, he is one of the few producers who actually has his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. How about that? You, major executive at Universal Studios. No, I'm wrong, Screen Gems. But I needed a U. C, Columbia Television. Hey, and C, caucus. You caucus for a lot of stuff. And Christopher Award and Emmy and Golden Globes and other awards. K, Ken, you believe this man. Fries, F-R-I-E-S. That was really dumb. F. Fearless. R. Rare. rich, icon, who is extraordinarily, simply super. I love you.
Wow. Now, at this point in our program, I would ask for a bit of respectful silence, since this is a tiny moment of reverence. I would like to introduce the long-standing chaplain of Pacific Pioneer Broadcasters, who is also our cantor, Hal Cantor. Now I'm going to get it. He'll be nice, I know.
Did you call me?
Yes.
Okay.
He has notes.
Hello again. Hello again. And please accept my apology for arriving late this morning. As I was getting dressed to get over here, something came up. And my wife was so pleased, I delayed my departure. So, on to the brief business at hand. Chuck Fries, a man who was born on the outskirts of New York, Cincinnati, Ohio. But first, thank you, other Chuck. Thank you for your provocative introduction, which whipped this beautiful audience into such a frenzy of apathy. It's always a pleasure for me to be here among my fellow Pacific pioneers and see so many familiar reconstructed faces. I used to be a comedian, but then I got out of politics. I then became a TV director and once worked for Chuck, which is why I'm here. I don't know why you're here. Matter of fact, I don't know why Chuck is here. I figured actually that he might get hot again and then offer me a job. The man has made more movies than he's seen. He was always so busy, he seldom had the time to see his dailies. That's much less an entire film. Perhaps that's why that first movie that I directed for him has the unique distinction of being one of the lousiest comedies ever made. You remember that? No, you do. I thought you'd forget that. I was hoping you would forget it. Airlines even refused to show that movie on the air, on their airplanes. Chuck had to release it to Greyhound buses. Chuck and I had a disagreement over casting of that picture. I wanted either Ernie Borgnine or Ed Asner for the leading man, but Chuck insisted that they were too expensive, and he cast Deborah Raffin in the part. But other than that, we got along very well. Enough for me to learn a few tricks of the trade, of his trade. Let's see. I know I had it here somewhere.
Page 5. Go to page 5.
Let's see. Anyway, let's see.
Here's some of mine.
He showed me how he made his stirring tale of a southern family caught in the Civil War. His version was starred Butterfly McQueen in Gone with the Breeze. That same week, he remade the hit musical Seven Brides for Two Brothers. It had some great fight footage in it. And now I hear this rumor that Chuck has a new Saturday morning show for kids, starring that great German Shepherd, the great German Shepherd of the movies. He's the most popular German Shepherd police dog of all time. But he's put on so much weight, the show now will be called The Adventures of Rin Tan Tan. It's jokes like that sent me into retirement, which I will now begin. So thank all of you Chucks, Freeze, Southcott, Panama, for lending me an ear.
Yeah.
And Chuck Street heard everything you said, I'll have you know. Well, it is bio time. He was born and raised in both Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. He attended the University of Chicago, served in the U.S. Army Signal Corps. Oh, yeah, he's also an actor. In fact, the only actor to win an Emmy for a sitcom and a drama for the same role. Lou Grant on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, of course, and on the Lou Grant series. Another Emmy was garnered for his brilliant performance in Roots. He was also highly acclaimed for the dark role of Axel Jordache in Rich Man, Poor Man. Then again, he's been the Pope, he's been Santa Claus, almost everything else in his marvelous career, including president of the Screen Actors Guild, and now touring as FDR. He's also a former honoree of our organization. He is Edward Franklin Delano Asner.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah. It was a little brief, wasn't it? I tremendously intimidated following the great-great-great-grandfather of humor, but I'll do my best. Now, how many of you have seen this book? This book was handed down by God at Mount Sinai to Moses, who then sold it to Chuck Freeze. It contains the titles of everything that Chuck, in a supervisory position, has touched. He's like Midas. He has touched everything in film. It is overwhelming. It is disgusting. And with the exception of a few notable three-camera comedies and masterpiece theater, there is nothing in television that he has not touched. And yet, it's safe for me to say, I don't owe him anything. Nada. Not a goddamn thing. I did one movie for him. One stinking movie. Hundreds of televisions, cartoons, pornos. Everything is in here. He touched it all. One stinking little movie I did for him. And what am I doing here today, following Hal Cantor? I'm a pigeon. I'm a pigeon. That's what I am. For instance, if you'll look at the index here, look, just beginning with what he has done. Highway Patrol, 1955 to 1959, 136 episodes. Broderick Crawford was the star. And I remember when I first came out here, I ran into an actor who was a guest on Highway Patrol with Broderick Crawford. They were out someplace, and they were parked a car, Highway Patrol car, at the bottom of a hill, and Brod, in his overcoat that he wore as highway patrolman, and this kid, or star, whatever he was supposed to, at 6 o'clock in the morning, run up this hill to the camera. As they stood at the bottom of the hill, cold, frost in the air, Brod reached into his overcoat, pulled out a bottle and said, "Want a drink, kid?" 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how the hell they got 156 episodes out of him. I went on, I don't know, I did Naked Cities. I did 2 Naked Cities. One of them brought me out here. I did 5 Route 66s. I don't know how the hell he got listed in it. I never saw him. He never signed my checks. But he's got credit for Naked Cities and Route 66s. And then finally, the coup de grace came in 1975. 1975. A movie called Hey, I'm Alive. Director shall go nameless. He was a former still photographer who was breaking into movies. And Sally Struthers and I were the pigeons. We shot it in Vancouver, Canada, an unheard of place in those days. And they had hills covered with snow, mountains covered with snow. Well, the first day, I played a Mexican pilot. And what's wrong with that? Yo hablo español muy bien. I played a Mexican bush pilot, and Sally Struthers was a little Jewish girl from New York. And I was going to take her back to New York, or so I don't know where I was to take her. But we were on this plane together, and it crashed. It crashed in the mountains above Vancouver. Now, the first day of film, they assigned me over here to make like a sled out of some of the fuselage. And I was also making some skis to traverse. Thank God I never had to walk in those goddamn skis. I wouldn't be here now. So while I'm doing that, Sally is over there with the rest of the company, which is all Canadian. Our cameraman was an American. Our director, as you have heard, was an American. And Sally and me. And they're over there, and I hear the director screaming in the highest falsetto possible. Screaming, screaming, screaming. And I'm trying to make the skis work, the sled work, and I'm in all this goddamn snow. And I said, this is the first time in 75 I was willing to say, we'll never be able to finish this film. The Canadians speak a different language. The director speaks in nothing but screaming falsetto. We will never come out of these hills alive. A week into the show, there were only the two characters, Sally and me. A week into the show, the wardrobe lady had a nervous breakdown. The wardrobe assistant had to finish putting the rags on us. We filmed up there, and to get the snow out of the trees, they would bulldoze the trees to knock the snow out. And it sometimes worked, sometimes, and they'd tie ropes on the trees to knock the snow out so it wouldn't hit us. But sporadically throughout the film, clumps of 100, 200 pounds of snow would fall and hit the actors on the head. Well, the crew usually because it never hit me. I was protected from all that. And then after the snow then we came back down into town, and we found out that in the lumber camps in Canada, the lumber companies don't go in the woods to work on the trees when the snow is falling like that. They are clever enough and smart enough to stay out of the woods, but not this Chuck Freeze production. No goddamn way. We'll slog our way through. We'll give Chuck his 90 pounds of flesh. So, let's see what happened then. And I was ready to quit. It's the first time in my career I was ever ready to quit. I wanted to resign. And then I heard Sally working her mischief with the crew. Not physically, verbally. And she had them peeing in their pants. And I don't know how long it took, but Sally Struthers saved that production. She got that crew laughing and loving and making think that we'll slog our way through, we'll make our way through. And I didn't have a goddamn thing to do with it. It was just Sally. Now, by the way, I was using a form of Mexican accent in this show. When we crashed, according to the book, I broke my jaw. And so to fix it, I came out and I wrapped it up in my scarf, and the snot and the drool froze, and it made a cast for my jaw so that it was able to be stabilized. That jaw was nicely cast. And I realized that I had to change my accent because of the broken jaw. So I spoke with a manufactured Mexican broken jaw accent. They cut the scene out where I set my jaw, so nobody knew it was broken. People would run into me later on, they'd say, "What kind of accent were you using there? What was that accent? I'd never heard that accent before." So that's how I gained distinguishment as a Mexican-American actor. Anyway, I owe Chuck Freeze great gratitude for that movie. It was a wonderful movie. It showed me what Sally Struthers was like. It showed me the kind of man that Chuck Fries was. A powerful movie producer who could show disaster in Vancouver. And I have seen him over the years. I've loved him. I've never worked for him other than Hey, I'm Alive, as I've already told you that. But I hope to work for him in the future, which is why I'm here today. That's the wonderful part about today. It gets rid of the Pacific Broadcasters Luncheon in one day and honoring Chuck Fries at the same time, and all before the fallout hits. So I think it's a great time to celebrate. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. Yeah. I already got your signature.
FDR, that was some fireside chat.
Short.
Well, he is simply Hollywood's most enduring star. If you haven't had a chance to pick up his must-read autobiography, Ernie, here's a tiny sampling of, well, choose your favorite of that magnificent career. This multi-award winner, this icon. How about The Poseidon Adventure, From Here to Eternity, Marty, Bad Day at Black Rock, The Dirty Dozen, The Wild Bunch, of course, countless others. One of my favorites, the role he performed on that Little House on the Prairie episode, quite memorable. Coming soon, a film called Nightclub, by the way, we can look for. He'll be heading to Florida in a couple of weeks for the premiere of another Harvest Moon as well. And yes, McHale really was in the Navy. He served for 10 years, and he is the recipient of the Screen Actors Guild Achievement Award, Life Achievement Award, received it this year. A man who has no reason to slow down. After all, he's only 94. Ernest Borgnine.
Thank you, sir. I'm the other one. One picture. Out of nowhere, one day I get a book. Chuck Fries. I thought, gee, that's nice. I haven't heard of Chuck in a long, long time. We used to be great friends. Still are, I guess. But where is he, you know? Especially now when you're getting on and you'd like to get a job or something. Nothing. Everybody's gone. And he put down, "This is my life," in his book. I read it. And I read it, little pieces here and there. And I'm looking for Ernest Borgnine because I said, hey, he's worked with everybody, but I don't remember working with Chuck. And I was told, no, you did a show called Carpool. Carpool? Yeah. And there was a fellow by the name of Harvey Korman that was in it. He was the star. And I'll never forget going back in my mind, we traveled more damn roads up and down from Long Beach and everywhere else you can imagine, going where we had no idea where we were going, but it was Carpool. And I never saw the film, but they tell me that it was a Chuck Fries film. And I won't get any residuals. He's sitting there laughing. What the hell? He's got it made. But Chuck, to make it short, I brought you a little gift. Let me see here. I'm not trying to push this because it's already been pushed. But this one is called Ernie. And I put down, "This is my life."
Am I mentioned in there, Ernie?
Huh? Now, let me tell you,
This is the wrong title. The title came one day, and I'm not deviating from taking away from Chuck or anything else, but but this is the way it all happened. I was walking along 10th Avenue in New York one day, bemoaning the fact that I had become an actor. What the hell are you doing? There's people working. Chuck Heston gets everything. And I was still walking the streets, knocking on doors, trying to find a job. And I could act as good as he could. I could make faces like him. Absolutely. But, you know, and suddenly I smelled chestnuts. And it reminded me of my mother, where she used to cut the chestnuts and put them on the stove, and the whole house would be permeated with that wonderful smell. And I came up a little closer to the fellow, to a vendor, and I said to myself, I can't buy any, but I'll smell a little. And I saw a sign on that vendor's cart that became my philosophy of life and the title of this book, that they wouldn't put it on because they said it'd never sell in the Midwest. But the title read, I don't want to set the world on fire, I just want to keep my nuts warm. Chuck, my boys.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you.
Keep your nuts warm, Charlie.
What's this say? My life?
That's my life. It's a great pleasure to be here, really, as always. It's always fun. And I don't know, you thank all you lovely people and thank this great organization that brings us all together. It's wonderful, and you're doing a great job, and God bless you, you're still here after all these years.
Still here.
That's what makes it. These people being here and loving it. God bless you all. Have a great day, and we love you, Chuck and Ava. And Tova said hello. All right.
Well, I just discovered today that I have one career achievement in common with Mr. Borgnine and Mr. Asner. I worked on one of his productions. Wow, I'm impressed with me. Now, Mr. and hopefully Mrs. Freeze, please stand up. There's something we'd like to hand you. And it reads, Pacific Pioneer Broadcasters honors Chuck Freeze with the Art Gilmore Career Achievement Award for many distinguished years in radio and television, March 18th, 2011. Chuck Freeze.
God, that's gorgeous. There we are. It's quite heavy, too. You know, Art Gilmore was a narrator on the Highway Patrol, which I was involved at about the 1950s. I didn't see a lot of him because, you know, like a lot of people in broadcasting and who do voiceovers and narration, he did a lot of his work at Writer Sound Services and never quite made it over to the studio much. But we did spend some time when he came by to pick up a script and that. And he was a wonderful man. Of course, you all know that because you've been associated with him here for so many years. I think he was the president, wasn't he, for quite some time? And I want to thank Chuck here for emceeing today. I think he's doing a wonderful job. The president is just recuperating from the hospital, and Chuck has stepped in here. I've got to thank all of you for honoring me today. I've been here. I've been a member for many, many years. I was here on this dais for Gene Barry. I was here for Bob Finkel. And I want to thank my friends here in the front from the caucus and other friends from the Center Theater Group for coming here today. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I want to thank Dale Olson, who's been a public relations associate of ours, Ava and me, for many, many years. He's on the board here. And I got to up here to see these guys that can't see too well. I have to stick these things up under the under the light. You know, I think I should start with a little joke. I stole this from Larry King, and I think it's a good one. I think he stole it from Milton Berle, who probably got it from Hal Cantor. But Ava buys me a bowl of cloth, right? She says, you got to get a suit with 2 pairs of pants. I said, you take your coat off, you're always wearing out the pants. Get a suit with 2 pairs of pants. So I go to see my tailor, Giacomo, in Hollywood. He handles Katzenberg, Jay Leno, Schwarzenegger, all these people. He measures, he goes to my file, he says, Mr. Fries, 1 pair of pants, that's it. Can't do any better. Really? I said, look, I'm going to go over here to Studio City and see Side of War, because we used to buy all our stuff for our television shows and Columbia Pictures when Side of War was on Vine Street. So I go in and the guy measures me, measures the cloth, he measures me, measures the cloth. He says, 2 pair of pants and a vest. I said, 2 pair of pants and a vest? Giacomo Hollywood, he says, I get 1 pair of pants and a coat. He said, Mr. Fries, in Studio City, you're not such a big guy. So I'm going to go over there with this award and show him that I'm a pretty big guy in Studio City, right? Look, you know, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you have to, everybody wants to get out of here, but, you know, I have a little story about each of these people because, truthfully, we did work together in a lot of different things, including even Hal Cantor, for God's sake, who directed a movie for us, Love, I think it was called For the Love of It. And it was originally called Love on the Run, but there were so many movies with that title. Stanley Ralph Ross. Stanley may have been a member here, was he at one time? Stanley Ralph Ross, who wrote it. I think they changed the title to try to make it something different. Anyway, it was full of just unbelievable characters. Don Rickles, Henry Gibson, Tom Bosley, Jeff Conaway, Deborah Raffin, Adam West, and Hal was managing this menagerie of people on the set, and it was just an unbelievable undertaking. And I applaud him for his tenacity in being out there and trying to control all these guys, really, Hal. He did a great job. I'm going to start on this, and when they asked her, you know, I never would have had Hey, I'm Alive. I never actually developed Hey, I'm Alive. Truth of the matter is that no one would produce Hey, I'm Alive because it was such an expensive and difficult proposition, just as Ed explained. It was up there. We went to Vancouver. We were one of the first shows into Vancouver. No tax credits. Bob Altman had been there, Don McCabe and Mrs. Miller. And I was ahead of him in Vancouver because I went there to scout the locations with Larry Schiller. But what happened is I was pitching Hatfields and McCoys with Jack Palance to try to get a film order from Brandon Stoddard. He says, if you take Hey, I'm Alive and make that picture with a first-time director, Larry Schiller, you can have a 2-picture deal. Well, 2-picture deal looked pretty good to me in those days. And so I said, let me read the script. I knew I was going to have to do it anyway because I wanted both orders. And I did, and it was a tough show. Ed played a pilot of a single-engine plane bringing Sally Struthers back from Kodiak, Alaska. They crashed in the Yukon. They were in the snow 40. This is a true story. In the Yukon for 49 days, living on melted snow. And you know he's still a strong man today. You take and shake Ed Hasner's hand, and he's got a good grip. And he was a strong man in those days because to pull Sally Struthers around on that plane wing through the snow was not an easy job, believe me.
It was the snow.
Now, there is one person up here that did more than one movie for me, and that's Morgan. Actually, Morgan, he did 3 pictures. And one of the pictures was the Zany Adventures of Robin Hood, with George Siegel's Robin Hood. You can imagine how funny that was, right? Anyway, Eve and I went back to Tunbridge Wells in England, which was near Pinehurst Castle. And we decided on Christmas Day you could shoot a cannon down any street in London. We decided to go back to the hotel, and we got there, and the place was just full of Brits, all smashed with blowing horns and everything. The lady said, there's no seats here. So we felt like, you know, Mary and Joseph at the inn. They turned us away. I said, look, let's go to the Spotted Dog pub. When I was over here for the shoot, that's where I went. So we went to the Spotted Dog, and we talked about Robin Hood to the bartender, owner, and he said, Morgan Fairchild. Yeah, Morgan Fairchild. She was in the movie. He said, man, she's a great lady. When she came in here, For dinner, this place just lit up like a Christmas tree. And it was interesting that after all the people that had gone through there on this movie, the one person he remembered was Morgan. Morgan, you did a great job at everything you've ever done. As a matter of fact, I was looking through some Spider-Man clips, and I found some episode that you were in Spider-Man. I'm going to come back to Ava. Ernie, give me my hat here. Now, the reason Ernie hasn't seen me is because this is the cap they gave out at the Ernie Borgnine 80th birthday party, right? I think he had a 90th party, but he didn't invite me. So if he has 100th, I'm planning on hoping to get. I hope I'm going to get there. Anyway, Ernie's the kind of guy who takes a role any size. He sees something in it, he makes something special out of it. Made a movie called Tales from the Crypt. The guys were in London. They call me. They say, look, Sir Ralph Richardson wants to play the crypt keeper. I said, he's a Shakespearean actor. Why does he want to play the crypt keeper? He sees something special there, and he wants to do it. Sign him. That was Ernie. Ernie sees anything. He sees a role, no matter big or small. He tries to make something special out of it. Now, Michelle and Ava knew each other before Chuck. I don't know what they were doing, those two.
You should be
But they knew each other, and I think they were having a good time. Anyway, we did make a pilot. It was called Michelle Lee Show. What else, right? It had something to do with the fact that she could help people, advise them about what would be good for them. And she's been doing this to husbands and men ever since. Anyway, she's more than just a business friend. She's a family friend. She's with someone we try to see and we enjoy very much. And I really appreciate you being here, Michelle, really, I do. Did I miss anybody up here? Ava, huh? Okay.
That's okay.
Ava.
Let's hear about Ava.
When I first started with Ava, it's Troop Beverly Hills' big theme here. When I started going with Ava, she'd tell dinner jokes like, I had this Girl Scout troop at Hawthorne Elementary in Beverly Hills. And I would take them up to the Hollywood Hills. I took them up there one time. The mothers dropped them off. It started raining cats and dogs. I rented 2 limousines. I took them to Beverly Hills Hotel. I rented a bungalow. They roasted their weenies and marshmallows in the fireplace. Everybody laughed like hell. I mean, they enjoyed it. She goes on. She says, those merit badges are boring. The cooking. What Beverly Hills girl has to know how to cook? They all have maids, for crying out loud. So she created her own badges. She created the good grooming badge. Every Beverly Hills girl should be groomed, so she took them to Christoph's. So they could have facial and hair dry, blow dry, whatever you call it, and pedicure and manicure. Then she created the jewelry appraisal badge. She took them to Cartier, because every Beverly Hills girl is going to get a lot of jewelry, right? She better know whether it's good or not. Anyway, we had so much fun with this. I mean, they say, don't build a house or have a movie with your wife, but I got to tell you, we fought about stuff, but it was unbelievable. Anyway, she writes this all out. We then get a script. Paramount, Disney, and Jerry Weintraub want the movie. So I said, look, go to Disney. I'd like to see that Freeze Entertainment name up there with Disney. So she goes over there with Mike Rosenfeld, who was our theatrical development guy at the time. And I'm sitting on the edge of my chair waiting for what's going to happen. They come back, they come in the office, they say, well, what happened? Mike says she passed. I said, what do you mean she passed? He said, well, what about this? Ava says, look, Chuck, they want Bette Midler to play me. They have a deal with Bette Midler, and I don't want her to play me. It starts to cry. I said, Ava, don't cry. You're an actress. I know you can cry on cue. What am I going to do? It's my wife, right? Well, luckily, Jerry Weintraub had a deal with Shelley Long, and that came, that really worked, and I think we all lived happily ever after. I just have one other little joke I want to tell you. It came to me in an email, and I can't resist telling this to you. It's very quick. But this old couple is taking a Mediterranean cruise. They're going to be going past Israel. They get to Tel Aviv, and this guy's a real nagger. He says to her, what are you wearing, an old lady like you wearing a bikini like that at the pool? And you know, you're eating too much at the table. Why don't you get your head? I mean, he never lets up on her. So they get to Tel Aviv. They're going to take a bus tour. 5 minutes into the tour, he has a heart attack and dies in the bus. Funeral director says to her, look, I can ship him home for $5,000, bury him here for $500. What would you want me to do? What do you think? And she's thinking, and she's thinking. Finally, she says, ship him home. He says, why do you want to spend $5,000 to ship him home when I can bury him here for $500? She says, listen, 2,000 years ago, you buried a guy, and you rose in 3 days. I'm taking no chances. Okay, this is the last story. It's 1986.
That's what you say.
1986, we're moving to Hollywood. Stanley Black, big real estate guy, owns a building right across from Grauman's Chinese. You see that sign up there, kid, the Max Factor sign? I said, yeah. He said, we're going to put Freeze Entertainment up there. I'm going to do 12th and 11th floor, build it out for you. You're going to have a great time here in Hollywood. Okay, Stanley, we made a deal. Warren Cowan, who Dale worked with, who was my public relations guy at the time, comes in and he says, look, we're going to have a big day. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to move your star from one side of the street over in front of your building. Go upstairs, cocktails, hors d'oeuvres. Go over to the Hollywood Holiday Inn upstairs where that restaurant goes around. And we'll have music and buffet and dancing and dinner, drinks. And then here's the big one. What's that? He said, we're going to shoot fireworks off the back of this parking structure at the building. I said, how are you going to get a license to do that, Warren? Don't worry, I think I got a guy. 2 days later, this little guy comes to my office. Hi, boss, I'm the fireworks guy. Hands me a contract, hands me a license. I look, I said, this looks pretty good. I said, you take it down to legal. If they like it, fine. He says, it's $5,000 now, $5,000 when I shoot him off, boss. Okay, fade out, fade in. Now, you know, Johnny Grant lifts the star. We go up for the cocktails and hors d'oeuvres. We go to the Holiday Inn. I said, Abel, let's get out here on the deck because everybody's going to be crowding around these windows to see the fireworks at 7 o'clock. So we're out there, and I'm really, you know, I'm looking over, there's that Freeze Entertainment sign. Lights are twinkling. Stars are coming out. I have this beautiful woman at my side. I think I'm on top of the world. I'm on the 12th floor, but I think I'm on top of the world. Anyway, boom, they go up, boom, boom. Look at my watch, about 5 till 7. A little early, a little early. Next day, the fireworks man comes in. He says, how'd you like the fireworks display, boss? I said, terrific. They were really great. You went off a little early, didn't you? He said, well, yeah, here's the situation. You know, I look over the parking lot. I see this red fire station wagon coming up Orange. I said to myself, this could be good or this could be bad. So I said to the guys, shoot him off. So they shot, I got to get my 5,000, right? So they shot him off. Okay, where's the DVD guy? This is what how the newscasters covered the opening on news that night.
Figurative fireworks up north. In this town tonight, they were very real. It looked like 4th of July in Hollywood tonight. This is the largest fireworks display in the history of Los Angeles, all in honor of producer Chuck Freeze. People stopped in their tracks on Hollywood Boulevard to watch the spectacle. It marked the rededication of Freeze's star on the Walk of Fame.
Morgan Brittany, Barbie Benton, and David Carradine were just a few of the stars who helped honor motion picture and television executive Charles Freeze, as his star was rededicated yesterday on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Freeze produced such films as Funny Girl, A Man for All Seasons, and 5 Easy Pieces. Yesterday's tribute to Freeze was capped by a fireworks display. And that's all.
Can you believe that going up on Hollywood Boulevard? You know that fire guy was on the way up there to stop things, right? But that guy wasn't going to lose his $5 grand. Well, that's all I have to say today. And I want to thank you once again. Thank Jeannie Brown, especially because she's the heart and soul of this organization. That's obvious because she's on that phone and on that email. all day, every day, and night for that matter. And I want to thank everyone here on the dais. These are sweet people to come up here. Did I miss?
Oh, that's all right.
Stacy Keach. You didn't talk about Stacy Keach. Stacy Keach.
Oh my God, Stacy Keach. Do you have a minute? I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry. Anyway, this is one of the stories that probably Stacy doesn't know about. Mission to the Shark was a story of the USS Indianapolis, as he said, which was sunk, torpedoed by a submarine, Japanese submarine, a last ship sunk at the end of the Second World War. Captain McVeigh was court-martialed because they lost 900 men in shark-infested waters. Unusual, maybe the only time it ever happened. A Japanese submarine commander was brought in to testify against Captain McVeigh. And of course, he was discharged, and then eventually he committed suicide. When we were at the point of making the movie, a son came to us and he said, look, you know, I'm trying to clear my father's name. I've been trying to do this for years, and I think I'm getting closer. So coincidentally, you know, John McCain was running it for the Republican nomination against George Bush. So David Geffen and Valenti had a breakfast at Morton's, and I went and I saw McCain, and it clicked over my brain that he might be able to do something for us. So I said, look, take a look at this movie. You're a third-generation naval man, and maybe you can help clear Captain McVeigh's name. So I got the video back in about a month, and then about 2 months later, a congressional action, legislation was passed to clear his name. Now, I don't know whether our movie had anything to do with it, you know? I don't know whether we were instrumental in that, but I always like to think that maybe we did. And of course, Stacy was an integral part of that movie. It was a significantly difficult movie, even more difficult than I Am Alive. We shot it on a battleship. We shot it on a battleship outside of Mobile, Alabama, and I have to admit that I didn't go down to that location. But I did go to the Bahamas, which was much more exciting. Okay, did I miss anything else? I hope not. Okay. Thank you again, and I appreciate this opportunity.
We love you.